Hey everybody on YouTube. I am here to interview a very special reseller today. I'm here with Justin, aka the Flipping Accountant, and he is going to talk to us a little bit about reselling on eBay and Amazon. And he also has an Airbnb and he does merch via Amazon. And yeah, you just have all kinds of side hustles. So I guess to get started, we'll just talk a little bit about like how you got started in the side hustle thing. And I know you kind of said in previous videos that you wanted to pursue financial independence. So you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So as far as like getting into reselling for like a side hustle, I started it a few years back. I was just looking for extra ways to make extra money. And I was actually thinking about getting a serving job because I was a server back when I was younger. And I was just Googling different ideas to make extra money. And I saw this thing called FBA and I was like, what's that about?
Mm-hmm.
And I looked into it and I started watching a lot of YouTube videos, like just reading different forums, different stuff like that. And there's a ton of free information out there. And that's how I learned about it. And luckily, I already had an Amazon account that I had used years prior to sell a few books. So that account was still active, which is pretty cool. And I was able to kind of get started selling video games and electronics. And eventually I branched into clothing and toys and just all sorts of different stuff. And I've been doing FBA for a few years now and been doing eBay for a while and just all sorts of different stuff. I got into Airbnb last March, I think.
Yeah.
And I did that for about a year, which was fun. And that was a learning experience and that was cool too. And I just have a spare room. I rented out and did that for a while and made some good money doing that. And I'm not doing that so much anymore. I don't know if you could guess why.
Yeah, I have a feeling I know why. I'm not doing it anymore either. That's something we have in common is kind of hit one of our businesses with that.
Yeah, well, that's another reason to have multiple streams of income is if you have something that affects one of them, and then you have others you can rely on. So
true. So you did FBA first, or had you sold on eBay before as well?
Well, I had sold on eBay before. I actually, after I got my bachelor's degree in finance, I got a job working for an auction company. And they were kind of like, think of like an eBay company, but basically when you buy something, you just go to the warehouse and pick it up instead of them like shipping it to you, which we also did shipping too, but it was like a local auction company. So I worked there and I helped with their online portion of the business, and they had an eBay store. So like I was doing eBay for them and running the auction, and I had my own eBay store.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So like I was always intertwined with eBay and doing that stuff. So I've done that for years and now now I do more of it, but I didn't, I didn't do it so heavily back then, but now I keep it pretty busy. So
yeah. So I see that you had a pretty late night last night with your sourcing.
I did.
Did you go, how many Walmarts did you wind up going to?
Yeah, so I did 3 last night, and it was kind of a race against the clock because, they close at 10 nowadays. So I went to one that was about an hour away, and I cleaned house there. I found a ton of video games. I found some Legos. I was super lucky because I was talking to this Walmart employee, and I was looking for one game, and I knew it was on clearance. And he was like, yeah, he's like, I don't see it. I was like, oh, okay. He's like, well, I might have it in the back. And he's like, there's a lot of games back there. I said, oh, would you mind bringing those out for me?
Yeah.
And he was like, sure. So he brought out like 5 boxes of video games, let me scan through all of them. And he was super chill about it. So,
wow. That's backroom access. You didn't even mean to get it. You just got it.
Yeah. No, it's there's a secret to doing that. And I was going to share that on Instagram, and I probably still will. But literally all you have to do is ask.
Wow.
Like seriously, just be honest. Because the guy asked me, he's like, "Are you a reseller?" I was like, "Yup." I mean, plus I had a cart full of video games too.
Right. Yeah, I think that's the thing that people get scared that the employees are going to get mad about resellers, but the employees usually don't care. Like they're like not concerned at all.
Right. Yeah. Normally they don't care. Sometimes they're like excited because they have certain sales metrics to hit and they get excited about that. They're like, oh, great. My sales are going to be good for the day. I'm like, yeah, I'm helping you out. Don't worry.
Right. Yeah. And you said you went to, I saw where Steinmart was closing and you got like stuff from inside the store that was, what did you wind up buying from there?
Yeah, so I went over there a couple times over the past few weeks, and yesterday was their last day, so they're like closed, completely done. And I got a few freebies there. But the day before, I bought $6,400 worth of clothes for $250.
Wow. So did you just buy the rest of their inventory that they had, or?
No, I tried. I tried. Like they had maybe like 10 racks of clothes. Most of it was women's clothes, and I don't know a ton about that. Like I know my limitations. Like I don't know a ton about clothing, but I'm like I know a little bit about men's clothing. So they had like some really nice polos, some really nice pants, some really nice shorts, and it's all brighter colors. You know, the kind of stuff you would see like people wearing like at the Kentucky Derby.
Oh snap! Well,
right. So
gonna be harder to move, I guess.
Well, I'm not too worried about it. You know, basically what it was I offered to buy everything in the store for 500, and he talked to the liquidator, and they got back to me, and they're like, "No, we're gonna wait." And which was good because I didn't know at the time, but they had like 1,000 face masks and bandanas and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I don't need all that. That's just, I feel like that would be like really tough to move right now. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like anyone that wants a mask already has one, so I don't want to mess with it.
It'd be like those people who probably have a storage unit full of Germex now. They're not a good position to be in.
Right. So I ended up buying like 3 racks of men's clothes, and I ended up getting some women's clothes too. And it was kind of funny because I did find some good women's clothes to put on Amazon that I'll ship into Amazon. Mm-hmm. And then the rest is like men's stuff that I'll probably hold on until next year, like springtime, and then just start selling it then.
Oh, well, yeah. I was going to ask you how much, with these inflatables for Halloween and Christmas, a ton of people I know go out and get them when they're on clearance. But I mean, how much of that is really feasible for somebody who doesn't have a lot of capital? Like if you have less than $10,000 capital, you can't really hold every inflatable until next year.
Yeah, well, it just it depends on everyone's situation, and like you're saying, like how much money you have to spend, how much you can wait on, because after the holidays there'll be tons of clearance stuff, and if you have the money to sit on it and the space, that could be worth it. I did that last year with Halloween costumes, like Second and Charles. After Halloween, they really clearanced out their stuff, and I get a lot of trade-in credit because I trade in CDs and DVDs. So I basically bought a bunch of Halloween costumes for like next to nothing, and now I'm selling them on Facebook Marketplace like 1 or 2 a day.
Nice. So that is something that is Halloween costumes are something that I'm looking for. I tried to go find a costume like yesterday, and I can't find anything. Like I'm like, okay. It's too late to order one. Like if I saw one on Facebook Marketplace, I would probably buy it. So I think that's a good one. But are you doing the same with Christmas stuff, or are you just kind of leave that alone?
No, I haven't really done anything with Christmas stuff. It's kind of like what you're saying, like how much stuff do you want to hold on to versus like, what's your space worth, what's your time and your sanity and all that stuff is worth. And I don't, I'm not heavy into Christmas stuff. I'm not, I think that's going to be kind of a moving target this year because like with shipping delays and shipping is so busy with UPS and USPS and like everything that's going on right now. I don't really want to ship that stuff. So, because I feel like people are going to get upset if it gets late,
Yeah, I have noticed the delays in shipping my FEA shipments that get to the warehouse. They get there in like a day or two, and then it's like it just sits there and sits there and sits there. So it's frustrating. But do you have like a certain like amount of active inventory that you try to shoot for? Because for me in my head, I'm always like, if I have 1,000 items, that's like a good goal to shoot for. Is there like a certain number that you try to have?
As far as like just items, like right now I don't really have like a set number of items I'm trying to hit. I try to have a minimum my sales be like 8,000 to 10,000 a month. And some months that's easier than others. Like if there's like a really hot item we can get into that turns quick, like that's it's easy as cake. But just this month has been kind of a struggle. I'm down a little bit, but my eBay sales are up. I'm selling older inventory that's just been sitting around. So it's just kind of like what my goals are at the time. Like I was trying to get rid of a bunch of stuff to ramp up for Q4.
Right.
So now that we're here, I've been making my posts that I'm out shopping till, 10 o'clock at night, and I've got stuff stacked up everywhere, and now I just have to find the time to list it.
That's how the boat I'm in. Like I cannot shop. I can go shopping all day, but when it comes to listing, I'm like, oh God, I have to do something with all this stuff that I bought. So, but I have a rule though that I cannot go shopping again until I list everything that I bought on the previous shopping trip. And that really cuts
Wow.
down. That really cuts down on it because in the past I would just have like this whole room full of stuff, and I was like, you cannot live like this, Bella.
So do you just like keep it in one room then? You like keep it in one area?
Yes, I have like a home office. And so I have in my home office, I have like two big shelves, and then I have a processing table, and then I have my desk and my stuff. So, like, whatever is on the shelving is usually stuff that's fulfilled by merchant or it's eBay
Okay.
stuff. Sometimes I pull stuff off the shelf and stick it in a shipment if my shipment's kind of light.
Okay.
But for the most part, I try to do like everything FBA. I was doing merchant fulfilling during the pandemic,
Sure.
obviously, because everybody was, but now that's kind of fizzled out. We're still in a pandemic, obviously, but like the sales have shifted.
Sure.
Seems like everything's going to level out. But with the delays and stuff, I kind of feel like we're almost getting to the point where we're about to meet the cutoff for Christmas presents like soon. I mean, this is like October 27th. So if you buy something today and ship it in, it gets there November 1st. It's got to get processed. It might go into FC transfer, and then it's just
Right.
another week or two. So I really do feel like we're kind of hitting the close line.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. That's why I'm trying to focus on my FBA stuff. And like I made a list of things I wanted to do today. I was like, well, I'm going to ship this, I'm going to ship this, and I'm going to record this, I'm going to do that. And then I was looking in a pile of t-shirts because I had a pile of t-shirts that have just been sitting there for a while, and I started sorting them. And 2 hours later, I was like, I got nothing else done, but I got my shipments done. But I was just like, where did the day go?
Yeah, shit is time consuming, especially if you have to like clothing and stuff. I've gotten into
Mhm.
that, and you have to polybag every single thing and fold it nicely. And do you have like I know you told me a little bit about selling shoes. I sold my first pair of shoes, by the way,
Nice.
finally. So I did that, and then I sold my first bra, which was like prompted me to go out and buy like 25 more bras. But I'm sure they
Nice.
thought that I was like the most weirdly sized woman of all time because I had like 38 triple D, and then I had like a 34B, and I'm like, is this lady like thinking about this? I really hope not. But I went out
Yeah.
and bought those. So I was really proud of myself. I've never thought that like I would be a person who wanted to sell clothing because it's just
Mhm.
such a hassle. But I mean, do you sell like a bit of shoes and stuff like that?
Yeah, if I take the time to make road trips, I'll go up to like outlet stores at like Nike, Under Armour, because I can sell those kind of brands. Like not everybody's ungated in those, and those are great brands to sell. But you can also find them at local stores like Ross and Marshalls, TJ Maxx, that kind of stuff. You can find the shirts, and I don't like polybagging. Like you're saying, like I don't like polybagging shirts. I don't like polybagging bras. Sometimes, like if I just get a ton of clothes and I just don't have the time for it, I will just buy them all and then I'll send them to FBA and just pay them to prep it. And then I'll just build that into my cost because they'll prep it for, I think it's $1 an item to polybag stuff.
Oh
So,
yeah.
so if you get it for cheap enough, you just build it into your cost, and then you're saving yourself the time.
Yeah, it saves a lot of time. That's one thing that with shoes and stuff, you told me not to buy shoes without the box, and I'm just sitting there thinking like, what is the customer gonna do if they get a pair of shoes and it's just like loose in a poly bag? Because we know Amazon, they don't do anything right. Like there's no telling what shape it would get to the customer in.
Right. Yeah, you were talking about how you were getting weird looks buying different sized bras. We're talking about Steinmart. Earlier last week, I bought, or I think it was like 3 or 4 days ago, I bought all the bras they had left. And so I got some looks, right? They were
Yeah.
scanning, and they're like, there's no way this guy has this many girlfriends. And I'm like, it's for that. Um, but they knew I was a reseller, but still they were
Yeah.
looking at me.
Oh yeah, and it's always awkward. Like I'm thankful that I'm like a woman, so I can go look at the bras without judgment. But there's always
Right.
like some weird feeling of anxiety when you're scanning clothes while someone else is shopping for themselves, especially like someone who's clearly just looking for like a shirt, and I'm over here like scan, 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 scan. So I think it's like you have to kind of just get over it. Like it's after you think about the money you're gonna make, it's kind of like, I don't care.
Yeah, just kind of ignore that. Don't worry about what other people are thinking. It's you're there to do your business and scan your stuff, buy your items, and just move on to the next one.
For sure. Do you do mostly retail arbitrage now? Like I know you do some stuff from thrift stores, but like what percentage do you think is thrift versus retail?
Well, right now I'd say I'm probably like 70-30. Like I'm doing like 70% retail, 30% thrift. And that's just because I have a couple of thrift stores that are close to me. So I have a hard time like not stopping on my way home.
Yeah.
So plus I have good relationships with the managers. Like one store, they know me and they really don't like me. So they charge me higher prices, but they still have good stuff. So I'm okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
The other store, the store manager likes me and he'll let me see stuff before it comes on the floor.
Nice. Yeah. That's what you want to get for sure. Those, and I know like a lot of stores, every store around here knows that I'm a reseller. Like I don't try to hide it. And I just feel like if you try to hide it, you're just going to look like you're not very genuine. So
Well, yeah, it's dishonest. Like if you say you're not a reseller and you have like 20 of the same item in your cart, like, you're being dishonest, you're losing credibility. It's better just to be honest in all situations like that. And there's no reason not to. Like there's no downside to it.
Yeah, except for yard sales. At yard sales, I become a liar.
You're just like, no, I need all of these. It's all for me. It's fine.
Oh, they'll be like, "Do you have kids?" I'm like, "Yes, a house full of them."
Well, I mean, some people count their dogs as kids, right? I mean, not everybody, but some people.
My dogs are my children. My dogs are my children. You have your dog with you?
Yeah, I don't know where he is. Normally, like he knows when I'm doing a video or when I'm talking, because then he'll get the squeaky toy and just like, hey, pay attention to me. But right now, when I actually want to see him, he's not here, so that's perfect.
Yeah,
It's great.
my guys are I think they're on the couch. That's their normal go-to spot. They're good company though. They don't really bother me that much, and they're always here, so it's kind of nice.
Yeah, he's normally pretty good. He has like separation anxiety, so he's like always always next to me, or like if I get up to leave the room, he's following or watching, like, hey, what's going on?
Oh,
so
well, here's a question I have for you, and this is kind of from honestly where I'm at in my business that I've been thinking
Okay.
about. Like, what do you think separates someone who sells like $25,000 a year versus $100,000 seller, like a six-figure seller? And obviously that's not profit, that's just gross revenue.
Sure.
But I mean, like when it comes to that, like what do you think is the ultimate like scaling tips?
Wow, I mean that's a great question. It's definitely like you have to have good processes for like taking in inventory, getting it right back out the door. Like you were talking about, that's like supply chain management is getting stuff in and getting it out as quickly as possible. Some people just do it in batches, like they'll build up a whole room of stuff and then they'll ship it all out. But kind of what you're talking about was you're doing smaller batches, but that's good because then you don't have a lot of stuff sitting around. It's not like to me, it feels heavy. Like if I have a lot of stuff in a room, like it gives me anxiety and I'm just like, I don't want to do this. But, scalability is some people, hire other people to help them. And it's like part of it is what is your time worth, right? So is your time worth spending, time to polybag stuff and to put labels on stuff? Or is your time better spent out buying stuff and making those kind of decisions? So, where's your time and where's your energy better spent? Because like I was thinking to hire somebody to help me for like Q4 and Christmas time and stuff like that, because as we get closer, I'm going to shift more probably to like 80 or 90% RA. And then I'm just going to be out shopping all the time. And I'm probably going to hire somebody to help me just pack and ship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you, what your time is worth, because, in certain things like cutting my grass, like I'm not going to do that because I'm not very good at it. And like, it's so much more efficient to like pay someone to do it. But, with hiring an employee, I feel like there's challenges of that too, because it's like, it's just kind of training them to do it correctly and then trusting them that they will do it correctly.
Right. Yeah, and that's I guess my thought on that is kind of like the comparison of like FBM versus FBA, right? So FBM is you sell an item, you ship it. FBA is you're using their FBA's network and their warehouse and their people to ship stuff. So that's kind of a scalability thing, because you get to the point where like you can only do so many FBM orders in a day. But if you ship everything,
that out the hard way.
Right. Right. I'm sure, like you were talking about during the earlier stage of the pandemic, you were shipping tons of items out a day,
Oh,
right?
it was awful, and I'm sure other people were doing more, but I was doing like 80 to 100 orders a day, and I was felt like I was just packing for like 4 hours straight. Like, it was awful, but also it was awesome because of the money. But like my post office lady was like, "I'll just bring a truck at the end of the day just for you," and I was like,
Nice.
"Okay."
Well, that's the kind of the comparison I'm making is like, you're going to get to a limit with FBMs. Like you can only do so many in a day. You're going to get tired and mentally exhausted and all that stuff. But if you ship everything to FBA, it's scalable and they'll just keep shipping it and you don't have to worry about it. So we're paying higher fees, but it's worth it in my opinion. So that's kind of the same thing with like hiring an employee. You can only do so much in a day, but if you pay somebody else to do the lower paying tasks, I guess, not that it's less important work because it's not, like it's critical, but it's just you're spending
Yeah.
more time where it's more valuable for you.
For sure, and I know, I'm the only one that I want making purchasing decisions, so it's kinda like I have to do that. I figure out all the things that I have to do, and then the rest of it, I'm like, maybe someone else can do this for 10 or $15 an hour,
Sure.
things like that. But as far as, like, scaling and stuff, I've kinda noticed that people who sell more obviously are, like, okay with accepting a lower ROI, and I had to get wrap my head around that. I'm like, what do you mean the ROI is not like 800%? Because I come from selling books. Like, it's a little weird to go from books to retail arbitrage. Like, is there a certain amount that you look for specifically, like 50% ROI, or does it just depend on the item?
It just kind of depends. Like I look at a combination of how quickly something is going to sell. So like I look at the rank and then I'll look at the ROI. So like if something has a lower rank, meaning it's going to sell faster, I'll accept a lower ROI. So like if I know it's going to sell really quick, but I'm only going to make 50%. So if it's $100 item, but I'll make $50, but I'll sell 10 a day, sure, I'll go for it.
Right.
But higher ranked items or stuff that doesn't sell as quickly, like I need a much higher ROI to make it worth it to invest that money and have that money just kind of sit around.
True. I know I look at that for books for sure. Do you have like a rank chart that you use to make purchasing decisions, or do you kind of go off of Keepa graphs, or what do you kind of what goes into your thought process? I guess because I know we all use different things, and I'm kind
Yeah.
of like I'm very pro Keepa graph.
Okay. I'm not, like, to be honest, I'm not super adept at using keep a graph. Like I know that it's there, right? Like I have Scout IQ and I'm pretty sure you can pull it up through that, but I don't even look at that. Like in my mind, rank is a very fluid thing. Like a rank can change from 1 minute to the next. And you can look at something right now, but tomorrow morning it would be completely different. So I like to look at the rank. I like to look at how many sellers, the number of reviews, and I kind of take all those things into consideration. Plus, I have like certain limits in my head. Like, okay, if I'm buying video games, I'm not going to buy over 10,000 rank unless like the ROI is ridiculous. And then I'm like, yeah, okay, it'll sit for a while. But I think everybody kind of has those like numbers that they try to stay under, like a books, like, you don't buy over a certain rank. Well, other people might not care.
Yeah, that's very true. It is subjective, and that's something that I think you can't put a lot of stock into it because it's constantly changing, like you said. So one question I have for you, and this is about taxes. So sorry, but
Nice. Oh, look at the time.
I know you got to go. You've been doing this all day, and now I'm going to ask you about it at night. You have a video about taxes, and I did watch it, and I thought it was really helpful.
Okay.
But as far as like deductions and things go, what is the logic behind making a purchase at the end of the year to save on taxes? Because I've heard this explained so many different ways. Say it's December, and I order 2,000 poly bags because I want to save money on the tax year. Kind of explain that a little bit for people who don't really understand.
Okay. Well, I mean, it just kind of depends. Like if you buy something for your business as a deduction, it has to be ordinary and necessary for your business. Like it has to be reasonable, right? Like you're saying, like for our kind of business, like poly bags, stickers, Scotty peelers, like all of that stuff is reasonable for our kind of business. Buying a Ferrari or a Tesla is definitely not reasonable for this business. But for that, like it's going to be worth it whether you do it in January or February or December or whatever, because it's going to be the same thing. It's a business expense. And it really just doesn't, the timing thing doesn't really matter unless you're trying to spend a certain amount of money before the end of the year, in which case that's really what somebody's personal, like if they have a personal strategy and they're like, okay, I want to make sure I have 10,000 in deductions for the end of the year, then they would go and spend that money. But for me, like I will definitely, I keep track of my sales and see where I'm at with stuff like that. And then I try to order stuff before the end of the year anyways, just so I have it, because like we're in Q4 and I want to make sure I have all those supplies. But to me, the timing isn't really that big of a deal.
Gotcha. I know I've heard a lot of people, like I live in a rural area, and farmers and stuff are always going out and buying like these tools and things right before the end of the year. So always kind of curious about that, which my accountant explained it as like, don't spend $1 to save 30 cents.
Right. And that's the thing, is because it's going to be the same thing regardless if you do it in January or December or whatever. And it's, in your own, and like you said, you're only saving that amount of tax on, what you spent. Well, if you don't need to spend it, then don't waste your money.
Yeah,
If your business needs it and you're like getting close to the end of the year and you're like, hey, I could use this and this and this and this, or I could wait until January. Well, if you do that, then you're not going to be able to write it off until next year.
right. So it's going to become useless to you in this tax year.
Right. So that's, in a sense, it's like as you get closer to the end of the year, if you take stock of like what you have and you're like, okay, I could use all of these things for my business, and I would rather take the deduction now than do it. But it's just personal preference, I think.
Okay, well, thank you for answering that. I'm always curious to hear someone's perspective. Well, one thing I have to ask you is like, how do you have time to do a full-time job and do all of what you're doing for eBay, Amazon, Merch by Amazon? I mean, how do you do it?
Yeah, it just depends. Like I work full time. I work 40 hours a week. I'm a licensed CPA and I work in the accounting industry. And then I also do my Amazon, eBay, Merch by Amazon. Merch has kind of fallen off the wayside, to be honest. Like I'm only in the tier 1,000 and I've only got like 400 listings up. So I could.
I'm only in the tier 1,000, whatever. Like that, there's people in like tier 25 who are dying to be there.
Yeah, but I mean, like I haven't touched it in a while. Like I did some listings last month and that was about it. But
passive income, baby.
Yeah, it is passive income. I mean, I'm not making $1,000 a day like some people that are pros, but I seem to be doing okay. I mean, I'll make 50 or $100 a month, and I'm like, hey, that's money, and I literally did nothing, so that's fine.
Yeah, that's a phone bill.
But yeah, I stay really busy, and that's good for me. And right now I'm working from home, so I kind of have the double benefit of doing my job, and then during my breaks. Only during my breaks will I work on my Amazon or eBay business. I will not do that during work time. That would be unethical and wrong. So I would not do that.
Never.
So
you're just a good at time management. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. That's what I'm claiming, is that I'm good at time management. And I just, I don't really have, like, this is my hobby. Like doing reselling stuff is my hobby. So it's like, I don't have any hobbies other than that. It's just like, trying to stay healthy and, resell stuff and keep my house clean and take care of my dog, and that's pretty much it.
Very honorable.
So yeah, so I don't have a lot of free time. So.
Gotcha. Well, one thing that we can talk about, which other people might want to hear about it a little bit, is capital, in terms of how much you need to start with. One of the things that I realized when I jumped from selling at the thrift store to going to Walmart and, the Belk or Target or whatever is like, oh, wow, I have to spend a lot more money here. So let's kind of talk about how much capital you need to start like an FBA retail arbitrage business, or at least to start dipping your toes in the water.
Sure. So, honestly, I think any amount of money is the right amount to start with, because if you, even if you start with $100, you can find stuff and resell it and reinvest your capital. And if you're not paying yourself and you just keep reinvesting it into your business, you can grow your business that way. It just depends on what kind of business you want to have. If you want to go into wholesale, you need a lot more money to get started. If you want to get started with thrifting and garage sales and estate sales, I mean, you could get started with $20 or $100, and you can multiply that very quickly. Like in my mind, it's kind of a trade-off of like time versus money. When you have more money than time, doing something like RA or wholesale is the way to go, because then you can just spend it and you don't have to worry about it as much. But when you have more time than money, that's when you can find the deals. You can look for books, you can look for video games, you can look for stuff at thrift stores, you can do all that kind of stuff, which I would recommend to anyone that wants to resell or get into reselling. Start with like books or video games or toys, because then you can kind of learn how the ranks work. You can learn how the system works, that get you started. And then when you get into retail arbitrage, like you're saying, which costs more money, you have a better handle on how things work.
Yeah, that's a great point, because that's how I started with selling books, and that's how I built my capital so that I could go out and go to places like Walmart and Target. But as far as my inventory now, I think I have like if you use Inventory Labs, it'll tell you, how much you've spent on your active inventory, which is always kind of a good number to know, how much money you have in things. And I think mine's getting like around $5,000 now. And like to see that, I'm just trying to build it up while also making a profit. But I've seen other people say that you can't start for less than 1,000 or 5,000. So it's nice to hear that like $100 is a start for some people.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a firm believer that you can start with the amount of money that you have to start with. I mean, even if look, I think you could start with nothing. Like if you're just watching this and you're just like, I have no money, like where do I start? Look on Facebook Marketplace. People give stuff away all the time. People give away books, people give away toys, people give away all sorts of stuff because they're moving. They give away dressers and furniture and beds and just all sorts of stuff that you could just, if you had a truck or if you had a means of transportation, even if you don't, you have a family member that does, you have somebody that could help you out. Like you can get clothes for free from people. Like you can consign your own clothes. There's a million ways to get started, and you don't even have to have money to get started. You could just get started with nothing and just go from there.
Yeah, you have to have a hustler spirit, like you really do. You have to do something that no one else is willing to do if
Yep.
you want to start from the bottom, as they say. But one of the things that we can chat about is, in terms of like tools and software. I know I use Inventory Lab, I use Keepa
Mhm.
and Scout IQ, which I'm pretty sure that most people use. Is there anything that you use that you would recommend as far as like a sourcing app or just tools for organization and such?
Well, I use Scout IQ as well. I use that for books and for video games and stuff like that. Video games I don't need as much just because I've sold them for so long. I have a pretty good idea of what I'm looking for, but that definitely helps with books. And other than that, I don't really pay for a lot of services. Like I don't really need it at the moment. I've heard good things about Inventory Lab, and I've thought about signing up for that. But honestly, like right now, learning a whole new system and learning how to incorporate that into my business seems kind of daunting. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it is. It is a little bit overwhelming. Well, how do you track everything that you buy, or do you just track the cost on average? Because this is an accounting
Right.
question.
Right. Sure. Sure. So, if you have something like Inventory Lab, that'll help you keep track of the cost, which is great. I'm kind of a nerd. I use spreadsheets to keep track of my own stuff. And what I've been trying to do lately is I've been recording some haul videos for like these sourcing trips I've been doing at like Walmart and Steinmart and stuff like that. And what I've been doing is I've been doing it in batches. Like everything that I bought last night, I'll bring in, I'll like record everything, I'll film everything, I'll build a spreadsheet. So then when I'm talking to the camera and doing kind of my outro stuff, I can be like, hey, I spent X amount of money. Here's how much what I expect to make. And then I already have it all in my records too.
Yeah, well, that's one thing I love about your channel and about you in general is that you always break the numbers down. Like you say, this is what I paid for it. This is what I'm selling for it. This is my cost of goods. This is shipping. And like
Yeah.
a lot of people don't do that. And it's very discouraging to new people to just see those high sales numbers.
Yeah, and sometimes it can be super misleading. With not with the stuff that I post. I try to give full details and be transparent about everything. There's no reason not to be. I want to give people a full picture of what you're looking at and what you can expect. I think there are some people that are out there that are misleading with their videos. They'll be like, "Oh, well, I'm doing 100 grand a month or whatever." Well, if you're selling wholesale stuff, doing 100 grand a month, how much did you actually make? Like $2,000? You know,
Yeah, and that's the thing. They don't show their. I don't expect everyone to show their profit. Like it's none of my business. But at the same time, if you are going to post your sales,
right.
it's kind of like that's the other thing that goes along with it, and at least post some profit on some items like you do. So I really love that about your channel. And there is a link to your channel in the description if you guys want to go over and check it out, the Flipping Accountant. And then you're pretty active on Instagram as well, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. I post more on there than probably than I should, because I should spend more time doing my videos or working on other stuff. But I want to share. I want to share what's going on or the stuff that I found, and it's kind of like this balancing act, right? Like you want to show these cool things that you found, but at the same time, it's like your audience is also, these are people that are reselling and they're interested in, like, oh, maybe I can find that too. So it's like,
Right.
like I want to show what's going on, but that at the same time, you don't want to show too much. So
Yeah, that is the beauty of a YouTube video though, because you can post it later.
right, right. So that's kind of what I'm working on. Like, I'm doing my recording at the store, you doing the YouTube stuff, and then I post a couple things on Instagram, and then like now when I get back, I'll finish the recording, and then I'll post the video in a few weeks.
Yeah,
So
well, you kind of have to have a process for YouTube, which Instagram is nice because if I am sourcing, I can just pull out my phone and then take a
right.
picture of something. But like you said, that opens up the door to all the other people going to get stuff. And not that it's super easy, but if you have a Walmart, that's one of those places where like almost everybody has a Walmart. So
Right. Yeah, and not all the not all the discounts or not all the clearances are the same at every store, but there's plenty of ways to get free information on discounts and deals and stuff like that. Like just for fun, I started following a couple of deal pages on Instagram, and they share tons of free
oh my
information.
God, that's a pro tip. That's a pro tip right there.
Yeah, it does not cost any money. You can join them for free, and they will give out tips about like different stores that have half off sales, or like somebody just posted like Lowe's has clearance Halloween stuff for 75% off.
Oh, that's cool. My little cousin, she's like 16 and she's like cracked the code of couponing and she
Nice.
gets like all of this stuff. She'll come out of the store with just bags and bags of stuff and she'll be like, they had to give me $15. So, I mean, if you have like a true like hustler spirit, you can figure out all those little things.
Yep.
Can you talk a little bit about how you move product on Facebook Marketplace? Or, a little bit about it? Because I know a lot of people are looking for like ways to sell big, bulky things. Is that still a pretty active marketplace?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think the pandemic has really affected it at all. I mean, in my opinion, it's like kind of increased it, just because people can get stuff faster and they don't want to go out and search for it, or like I sell quite a bit on Facebook Marketplace. I try to sell bigger, like you're saying, like bigger, bulky items, stuff I do not want to ship, or stuff that just wouldn't make sense for me to ship. Like, like this item would sell on eBay, but shipping would kill the margin. So I'll just try to sell it locally. And that works, that works out pretty good too. But like I've been selling little mini fridges on
Oh,
Facebook.
nice.
Yeah, like just like I've had them for a while, like little mini fridges, and I sell toys, and sometimes I'll get candy at super super like cheap prices, and then I'll just turn around and sell it on Facebook. And because you can't, like right now, like you can't really ship meltable stuff because it would melt, and FBA doesn't let you do that. So
Yeah. Well, candy, I would have never thought of on Facebook. That's
yeah,
why.
yeah. I was selling. I had a bunch of Kit Kats that I bought, like full size Kit Kats, and I bought these 6 packs of Kit Kats for like 50 cents, and I had just like, I don't know, 100 of them or whatever. So I was selling them at like 4 or 5 packs of 6
Mhm.
packs, and they sold out pretty quick. It was pretty crazy.
That's bizarre. So, do you meet people or do you make them pick it up?
For the most part, like I will have somebody do porch pickup, or I will have them meet me at a local gas station or thrift store. So if they don't show up, then I can go thrifting.
Right. Yeah, I know that's one of the complaints that I hear when I talk to people about it is like people are sketchy, but you just have to always kind of assume that they're not coming and then be pleasantly surprised when they
Right.
come.
Right. Yeah, that's why, if I'm doing it from the safety of my own home, I'm not too worried about it. And if I have them meet me at a thrift store, or if it's like a high value item, I'll have them meet me at like a police station or something, just to, if they had any idea of being sketchy whatsoever, like,
Yeah.
that's going to deter that.
Yeah, I know some police stations like have a little parking spot dedicated to that now, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
You don't have to stress over it. I've had some weird encounters on Craigslist over the years. Like some people show up and they're just like, I'm like, you're not coming in my house. Like they're just acting weird. So I try to always be careful, especially if you're by yourself. Even if you are a guy, like it's kind of like sketch sometimes, especially when you're doing it from your home.
Right.
That's kind of like I don't know. Facebook Marketplace is the new Craigslist, I guess. It's safer.
Yeah, it's safer, and you know, you can leave reviews, or like you can leave scores, I guess, for people like 5 stars or whatever. I mean, I don't even know if Craigslist has ever had that. I don't.
No, they haven't. I sold a lot on Craigslist back in the day. Like I would do furniture flips and stuff
Mhm.
before I could drive. Before I was legally allowed to drive, pick up, and that way I can pretend to be an adult. So, don't recommend this strategy at all. If you're a child listening to this, just
Right.
cut
Do
this
not do
off.
this.
But yeah, I mean, back in the day, Craigslist was always pretty lit. Like it was a place to go.
Yeah, I don't think I've logged on to Craigslist in a very long time. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so
Facebook
you
Marketplace is awesome. It's free. There's already a huge audience built in. It's definitely a good way to get started.
Well, that's good news for I'm gonna try that again because I have bought a bunch of bulky things lately,
Mhm.
and I don't want to ship them, and I don't really want to pay the fees on it, and I can't sell it on Amazon.
Okay.
I'm gated in this brand for whatever reason. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about ungating, and obviously there's a lot to unpack there. But
Sure.
you said that you're not allowed to sell some brands, and everybody that's the case for them. But you're ungated in like Nike and Under Armour. Did you get auto ungated for those?
Yeah, so, like I said a little earlier, I had an older account because I had sold books on my account years ago, and my account has such a long history of being open that they considered me an established seller. So, like, when they put in, you know, gating categories for Nike and Under Armour and stuff like that, it didn't affect me, and I've never been gated in those categories. So, other brands I've had to get ungated for, like, I've had to buy you know, I've had to buy toys or certain brands from certain companies to get ungated. And that's kind of a process in itself. And sometimes you're lucky enough with a long history that you can just get ungated in certain things. You have to have good metrics, don't ship stuff late, don't get bad feedback, and all that kind of stuff. And after a long enough time and enough sales history, you can just get auto ungated. But other times you just have to use invoices to purchase stuff, as I believe you've done lately.
Yeah, I'm working on that. And what you said is true. If you do have good metrics, you will get auto ungated eventually. But I mean, it
Mhm.
could take a long time. I got auto ungated in Under Armour, and I still don't really understand why. But I'm just happy about it. And I think I posted a video of like 50 different brands that I got ungated in automatically.
Yeah.
And that'll only take you so far, I guess.
Yeah.
And then you do have to start going through the process of finding suppliers that are reputable to Amazon, and they're
Sure.
one of those things is like no one's going to give away their suppliers. Like I would never ask people who their suppliers are. There's a lot of people who post about EE distribution, which is basically the hot content for getting toys, but also
Sure.
it's like you're not going to make any money off of those products at all. It's just
Right.
specifically for getting ungated.
Right.
So,
And I've worked with them before. And they're super cool. Like they're super nice. They assign you a salesperson. They walk you through the whole thing. But they're also hip to the Amazon game. Like as soon as you say Amazon, they're like, okay, we'll start sending you daily emails of what you think you can make money on. And it's like you're sending this to 1,000 people a day. Like I don't care. Like,
right.
I'm not
And
interested.
if you look at even the items on that website that are available for pre-order, so they're coming in November 2020, and then you go cross-reference them on Amazon, there's
Right.
already like so many sellers on that listing. It's like I can't make any money off of this, but you can get ungated. So that's
Right.
what I'm working on. I've got like Barbie, I think, and what was it? Oh, Star Wars, Barbie, Star Wars, and Funko. I placed
Nice.
an order for all of those, so I haven't got my invoice yet, so I'm kind of waiting on that,
Okay.
and I'm really nervous.
Well, you know, there's not a whole lot to be nervous about as long as you place the order for at least 10 units of each item. they'll send the invoice when it ships. I think, is it when it ships or when you buy it? I'm not 100%
I
sure.
think it's when it ships, because I haven't been charged anything yet, but I think they have a kind of a couple of days processing time.
Yeah, and that's part of my pain with their website too, is like a lot of stuff is out of stock. Like their stuff just either sells so quick or it's pre-order. Like I placed an order for some stuff a few months back and it just shipped. Like, and it's not that I really need these Frozen 2 stickers right now. That's just for ungating purposes. But I'm like, that would have been nice 3 months ago.
Yeah, I'm at the point where I'm probably just gonna if the ungating works, well, not if it doesn't work, but if it does, I'm probably just gonna start pre-ordering things and stagger them every month. That way I can constantly be getting ungated in something. Because it's expensive to buy things that you don't make money off of.
Right. Yeah, and that's that's kind of the thing. It's like you're not buying stuff from EE distribution to make money. You're trying to buy stuff to get ungated and lose as little money as possible.
Yeah, and they know that. I do think they know that, because when I told them that I was an Amazon seller on the phone, they were like, "Ugh," I was like,
right.
"What are you? I'm sorry, I'm not calling with a brick and mortar.
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, a sale is a sale, right? So what's the difference? I don't know.
Very true. So you do sell on Amazon, but as far as eBay goes, do you just sell everything that you can't sell on Amazon on eBay, or are there things that you make more money off of on eBay?
It just kind of depends. Like, if I can sell stuff on Amazon, in my experience, generally speaking, you can get higher prices on Amazon. So generally, I'll put it up there. But if it's something I can't sell there, or it would make more sense to put it on eBay, I'll do that on eBay. But most of my business is focused on towards my Amazon stuff. And then, eBay is probably like 20-30%, just depending on how busy I am that month. Or like the past month, I've been trying to sell my death pile stuff or stuff that I had in my garage. So more of that stuff went into eBay. So my eBay sales are higher, but my Amazon sales are lower just because I only have so much time in a day.
Right. Yeah. And eBay's kind of good for those. eBay's nice because you can make a quick sale and get the money in your PayPal account immediately and then turn that money over. With Amazon, it's like, I got to wait 2 weeks to get the money.
No, I don't.
You have payouts every day?
I do. Yeah. Yeah. So it's kind of unfair because during Q4, when I really ramp up, I'll just start getting daily transfers and I'll just keep buying more and more stuff.
Oh my gosh. That's like that's crazy that you made an account way back then without really being intentional about it. And then you kind of get all these perks. I'm glad for you though. That's good. Cause I mean, you need that money during Q4, that's really useful to be able to get the money back as soon as possible. I'm dealing with that now. I have all this money tied up and I want to buy more, but I'm like, you don't need to buy more when, other stuff hasn't sold yet.
Well, you sound like you're way more better at your inventory management than I am. You're like, okay, I have to ship in all of this stuff before I can buy more stuff. I'm like, no. There's room on the floor. There's space to buy. So.
Yeah, well, I saw your DVD stacked to the ceiling on Instagram.
Yeah, it's much better now. You want to see it?
Yeah, sure.
See if I can turn my camera here. See?
Oh yeah, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, that's not too bad. So tell me about your store credit at Second and Charles. Is that something that you do with all your duds?
Yeah, so I do buy a lot of DVDs and media and stuff like that. So I'll sell the higher value stuff online, and then I will trade in the junk to Second and Charles. And then what they don't buy, I take to another DVD store and they pay me a quarter per movie. So it's like, in my mind, I know I can at least get a quarter per movie out of just about anything. So I occasionally will just buy out the thrift store when they have sales and just be like, all right, I'll just take them all.
Right. Or there's certain situations where you're at a yard sale and it's like, take this whole box for $5.
Yes. I do that sometimes. Like if I go at the end of a yard sale and they have a bunch of stuff left or a bunch of DVDs, I'll just be like, all right, I'll give you $20 for everything. And more than likely they're just like, sure, just take it. Like, we don't want it.
Yeah.
There is a thrift store that I go to that occasionally they get overloaded on their media and they'll have days where it's like 10 movies for $1. And I'm like, yep.
Wow.
Yep, I'll take them all.
That's
and
crazy.
just load up the shopping carts, and then like you were saying, like I'll just sell the good ones, trade in the bad ones, and then sell the rest for a quarter a piece. So it works out pretty well.
That's good, because then you don't really ever have anything you have to throw away. I'm bad about, like, I scanned something and I got home with it and it's a piece of crap. I'll just throw it in the garbage.
Yeah, yeah, it's even junk DVDs are worth money if you make a big enough lot. You can sell them on eBay or sell them locally. Facebook Marketplace. That's what I'm saying.
That's true. I'm throwing all this good inventory in the garbage, or I burn it in my yard because I'm a redneck.
Well, I mean, that provides value too. You're getting warmth and fire. So
Yeah, that's crazy though, because I've thought about trading in my stuff, but I never have. I do consign things. We have like a store that it will give you 40% on everything that they sell,
nice.
and they take clothing and books and DVDs and things like that. But see, I'm not ungated in DVDs on Amazon. So.
Yeah, is that something that you're going to try to get into?
Yeah, eventually, but like I don't see that many DVDs in the wild at thrift stores around here. I'm sure I could find them at retail places, but
yeah. Well, you can also DVDs still sell well on eBay too. You can scan them with the Amazon app, and if it pops up that it's worth a ton of money, you could still sell it on eBay and probably still make good money there. I know people that do that. That's an option too. And there are some categories, even if you get ungated in DVD, you still have additional categories to get ungated for DVD. Like I think Fox is one of them. Like even if you can sell DVDs, you can't sell Fox and stuff like that. So there are additional categories and gating requirements, even if you get ungated for DVDs.
yeah, I think that's the case for music, CDs and stuff too, because there's like I can sell CDs, but I can't sell popular music.
Yeah, popular music.
I'm like, well, that's great. I can just sell all the crappy music.
Yeah, that was how my account was too. Like I had always been able to sell DVDs, or I'm sorry, sell CDs, and then they restricted me. Like I can't sell popular music, and I'm like, oh, I can just sell this 20-year-old Christmas CD, Burt Crosby or like whoever. I'm like, no, don't even mess with it.
Yeah, Christmas CDs do sell though, because I just sold a Blake Shelton CD.
Right. Well, maybe that's not the best example as we're coming into November and December, but yeah, I hear what you're saying. Like, can't be able to sell popular music. That's kind of funny the way they do that.
Yeah, there's always something that you have to do on Amazon to meet their standards or their requirements.
Right.
Well, I mean, I think we can wrap it up. We've been going for like 52 minutes almost. So I'm going to do a quick giveaway. So this is really random, but I have a copy of Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. And have you read this? Because this is like an amazing book.
Nope.
I think I'm just going to give it away to the first person who comments and tells me what they want to accomplish by the end of the year, because there's like 2 months left, so 65 days roughly.
Sure.
And we'll just give it away, and they can comment on this video or DM me on Instagram after this, and I'll ship it to them. And we have 10 people watching, so maybe one of them wants a free book. We'll see. But I do appreciate you coming on today, and this has been really helpful for me. I'm sure if it was helpful for me, it's helpful for somebody else as well.
It's helpful for me too. You're inspiring me to get better about listing and shipping out my stuff. Thank you for making me feel bad about that.
Oh, well, I mean, it might be good to have a death pile, because I mean, coronavirus hit and people made money off of their death pile. So
yeah. That's why I try to eliminate mine as much as possible. But now I'm in the buying mood. But yeah, thanks for inviting me on. I appreciate it.
All righty, well, I'll sign off. But thanks so much for watching, guys, and I will catch you in the next video.